So today is, again, my favorite life hack. Before I jump into this, a couple quick things. One is all you have to do for today, all you have to do right now in order to participate in the drawing. Again, we're giving away 4 more tickets to the Build Your Legacy Conference in Vegas, VIP tickets, which are $4,200 for you and a guest to come to Las Vegas, Nevada, August 25th through the 30th. Stay at Palms for 5 days, 30 hours, full immersion with me, 30 hours of content, as well as welcome reception on top of one of the towers, which is Apex, most amazing location at Palms overlooking the entire strip. And covers again the 3 full days of event with me. Lady Antebellum, we're gonna have a free day on Thursday to race Lamborghinis and Ferraris, all kinds of amazing things. It covers breakfast, lunch, and beverages as well. So as you guys know, we gave away a ticket a couple weeks ago. We're gonna give away a ticket towards the first of each month, and all you have to do to get your name in the box to be drawn, and every single time you plug in and do the activities, your name goes in that many more times. All right, so your chance of winning increases every single time you participate each week. And we aggregate them all the way through Friday of each week. So even if you watch this archive, you're not watching it live, you can participate in that. All you got to do is share this video with your feed. So simply go on Facebook. Again, I know if you're on Instagram, you can retweet it perhaps once we get it up and running. But I want you specifically to do it on Facebook. We're building this momentum, this snowball on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, and then simply find this video. If you're already on this video, simply share this video. So all you have to do is share this with your own profile on your own personal feed, this video. Don't just share it. Say something about why they should watch this. And again, today's content is going to be phenomenal because it's going to be, again, my favorite life hack, the most amazing life hack possible. So first of all, I want to cover something with you guys. If you guys remember, if you guys are on any social media, you probably have seen this. Now, again, I'm not the greatest artist, as you guys know, and my own corporate team right now is going, oh shit, he's going to be drawing on the board. You guys remember this whole thing where it shows like this right here, right, this line, and you know, they say this is what success looks like, right? That, you know, people think success is this, a straight line, right? But success is actually like this, and in fact, the diagram they do more goes like this all over the place, right? Now, if this is what you feel success is, then you're not doing something right. All right, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life because this is not what success is about. If you're looking at this being success and the path to success, you're going to fail. You're going to fail because you're going to run out of money if this is a business, you're going to run out of time if this is a business, and you're going to also run out of the resources, which is your own personal brain staying with this. If you're going all over the frickin' place, you're not going to succeed. So what I wanted to do is this. I knew that success wasn't always a perfect straight line. But what I knew is this, is that if I could find a way, so for example, let's say this is success, right? Success should be like this. That's what success should be if you have the right information. In every area of your life, if you have the right information, that's what success should be. Success should not be this huge squiggly line all over the place. If so, you're not doing something right. So my goal was, clear back 2.5 decades ago, is trying to find a way to every area of my life, to find a way to shortcut this, to find a way to get to the end result in every area. So I have what I call the several pillars, right, that I talk about a lot. The pillars of success, I like to call it. So if you write down pillars of success, if you're taking notes, and I look at these pillars of success, and success to me, by the way, my definition, everybody has their own definition of what they call success. This is a definition that I have back in my 20s, and I keep it today. And this definition that I have is this. And tell me if this is not, to a degree, something that you would define success being. Success to me, very simply, is doing whatever I want, however I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. That to me is success, right? Doing whatever I want, however I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. That is success to me, is having true choices and true freedom. Now, the pillars of success to me, the pillars that I talk a lot about are this, right? So we have different pillars of success. What's number one? Let's just write these down. The 4 main pillars of success. Okay, so one is mindset. So to me, this is the first pillar of success and the thing I talk a lot about because I want you to understand something. Now, forgetting all the other bullshit that's out there, I will tell you for a fact, that mindset is always 80% of the game. I think it's even more than that. 80% of the game is mindset and 20% is mechanics. What everyone focuses their time and energy on is this. They focus their time and energy on how am I doing it? What's the strategy for it? The strategy is not what you want to focus on. You want to focus your time on the mindset. Now don't get me wrong, the mechanics are important. In this case, we're looking at the ratio being 20%. So we know it's important. But if you don't get this right, you won't do this anyway. How many people, let me ask you this question. I'm going to ask you guys again, I want your feedback here. I want your feedback. By the way, how many of you guys shared this? I want to see in the chat window. How many of you guys shared this video? Because I've got Bree, Rachel, Caleb, Sierra watching this, and to let me know who actually shared this video so we know who to put the name in the hat. We're also going to do some drawings today for some other fun things. So stay tuned. We're going to draw you guys, and we're going to give you guys, a couple of you a chance to put your name in the hat 2 more times. If you're drawn, we're going to give away some books. We're going to give away some Audible subscriptions, all kinds of fun stuff today. I like to give away prizes to bribe you guys to plug into something. It's sad that I have to do that, but it's the reality of life is you have to bribe people a little bit until they get to the point where they actually see it. It's amazing when I give away $10,000 how many people watch the video. So normally, we'll have anywhere just on Facebook alone, we have, between 12 to 15 to 20,000 people watch it. We had like 30-some thousand people watch it the first week just from giving away $10,000, all right, which people are funny that way. But understand that 80% of it is the mindset. So we focus, a lot of my time that I focus on is how to get the mind correct. So that's the first pillar of success is knowing how to control your mind. Would you all agree with me that being able to control your mind, because the question I want to ask you guys to type in the chat window, I'm looking for your comments, and Caleb, Rachel, Bree, Sierra, type in the chat window. I'm not seeing any messages from you guys. So I don't know if you guys are not giving me any feedback or if they're just not following up and forwarding that to me. But if you look at this overall, how many of you guys know what it takes to become healthier? How many of you guys know what it takes to lose weight? How many of you guys know what it takes to make more money? How many of you guys have a strategy, right? You know the mechanics of what to do, but you just can't get your ass to do it. I want to know that. How many of you guys just know the strategies of these things? Like, what does it take to lose weight? Eat better and move more. That's the simplicity of it. Eat better and move more is what it truly takes to lose weight. That's the 20%. But how many of you guys have challenges doing it, right? That's because you don't have the proper mindset. So we focus a lot of time and energy, thanks Mike Funk, a lot of time and energy on the mindset piece. That's number one. Number two is we focus a lot of time on health and body. Focus a lot of time on health and body. Why do we focus on health and body a lot? Because it doesn't matter what we talk about as far as, you guys love when I talk about money. I love talking about money too, don't get me wrong. But the reality is that if you don't have the health, you don't have the body, you don't have the confidence, you don't have the energy level, and you're not going to be around long term to enjoy what you're building anyway. So I focused a lot of my time on health and body because success to me is not just being successful in one area. I know a lot of people who are financially very, very successful, but they're miserable. I know people who are, have a phenomenal, family life, they have phenomenal faith, but they have no money, right, to do things they want to do. I have people that, again, to me, success is being well-rounded, having all of these areas taken care of. So I focus a good deal of time on health and body. We focus a good deal of time on money, right? Money. Because if you don't have the money side of it, people always say, well, Kori, you focus a lot of your time on money. Yes, I do. Do you know why? People say, well, money doesn't buy happiness. And I say, yeah, you're right. But also being broke doesn't make me happy either. At least having money, I have choices. I have more choices. Would you guys at least agree with me? You have more choices when you have financial ability, right? And depending on your life, the reality you have to understand is no matter who you are, you've got a price to pay. As much as I don't like it, we all have a price to pay, right? So depending on your lifestyle and what you want your future to be, you have a higher or lower price that you have to pay, depending on what you want. So the reality is, I think, why not get money out of the way? Why not take care of the money side of it as well? Because you can't have an overall well-rounded life and have success without the money piece being taken care of. I also focus a lot of time on physiology, right? How you move, your physiology. Because your physiology affects all of these things. Your physiology affects your energy level, affects your mindset, affects your testosterone levels, your cortisol levels. It affects how you do as far as creating money. So we focus the areas of success: mindset, health, body, money, physiology. And then if we go number 5 is faith. Okay? Now I'm not going to cover faith. I stay away from that topic, so I'll just block that topic out. That's something you got to focus on. I spend my own time saying what I believe, what I don't believe, whether you believe in the mindset of the universe, or whether you believe in the mindset of God or a higher power. Whatever it might be, the reality is that you got to focus on this too. So mindset, health, body, money, physiology, and faith. Now, how many of you want to know what the greatest shortcut to getting whatever you want is? I want to look in the chat window and I want you guys to tell me you want to know what this is. So you're ready to take the information. And I call it the buckets are turned up. So, you might be watching this kind of just in the background. I encourage you, turn your phone off. Take care, just focus on this stuff for 20 minutes with me, right? Focus on this stuff because this will change your life over everything else. And the great thing is, it's very, very simple. Something else that I've learned in my 20s, it was funny because I wanted to find out, how do I control my mind? I would create all these, complex, read all these books and all these complex formulas for things. Or how do I make money? And I would look at all this research and dig into all these things. Or at health and body and try finding all these fancy workouts, all these things. What I've learned is, it's kind of funny because I went from, and there's tons of people out there. In fact, I was listening to an audiobook, driving back from Sioux Falls for a soccer tournament this weekend, and listening to that Audible, I'm like, this person purposely uses big words to make themselves sound better than they really are. I mean, it was crazy. Like and again, don't get me wrong, I didn't go to college, but every single page was at least one or two words that we had to actually look up because it was a word I didn't know what it even meant, right? So why not just use that word? It was overused just to make themselves sound like important. And so what happened is I realized that what I was interested in was not this crazy formula for things. I was interested in one thing: what creates results. So my PhD in my mind is results. How do I get results? And you guys that have done coaching with me know that I don't sugarcoat anything. I ask for permission right when we get started to say, hey, do you guys mind if I offend you? Do you mind if I put pressure on you? If you tell me you want something, you want to change your life, you want to quit smoking, you want to have a better body, you want to make more money, you want to have a better lifestyle for your family, you want freedom to do what you want to do, so maybe you have the money but you have no time to enjoy it. Whatever it is, I'm going to find a way to shortcut you. So my job is take you from here, point A, to point B as fast as I possibly can. Not sugarcoat shit, not make you feel good. My job, in my mind, is to get you from A to B as fast as possible. So that was what I wanted to figure out a way to do. So in my 20s is I looked at it and said, what do I have to do to figure out a way for my own personal life to do the same thing, to go from A to B as fast as possible, not do that stupid squiggly line shit that you see everybody else drawing about what success is. That's called stupidity. That means if you put a blindfold on and try finding a way to make money or find a way to be healthy or whatever it is, just walking around aimlessly. That's what that is. That's dumb to me. So I'm going to find a way to shortcut that. So here's the answer to it. The answer to the number one hack that I learned that is, in my opinion, the simplest thing to get me from point A to point B. So the number one hack is this. Is the word modeling. And I want you to remember that, the word modeling. How do you get whatever you want? What's the fastest way to get you from point A to point B in every area? So let's just pick an area, for example. If you want to learn about performance, how to control the mindset, who do you learn from? So if you want to find out what's the easiest way to control your mind and get yourself to take action and not procrastinate, who do you learn from? You find the peak performance people out there and you model them. So here's an example I'll give you. So let's say how many of you guys are in real estate, for example? I've never been in real estate. And if you're somebody who's one of the top salesmen for ABC company, you've killed it for the last 10 years, the last decade, you're making mid six figures, some of you making seven figures, what would I do? I wouldn't go in and try doing it on my own. I would find the best of the best and I would model them. I would find out, what do they do? If I went to you and said, how do you walk? How do you talk? How do you breathe? How do you talk to a potential client? How do you follow up? What systems do you use? I then can shortcut or education hack myself by simply modeling you. If you want to learn how to play a piano, do you find somebody playing a piano that's played it 3 times, or do you find a professional pianist, right? And say, let me see how you do this. If you go back to the principles of the Bible, you go back to Jesus and being a carpenter back in those days. Back in those days, it was a minimum of 5 years. 5 years to learn to be a carpenter by simply sitting down with someone else who's a carpenter and finding out how they did it. How do you lay this board? How do you exactly, how much pressure do you use? And that's how you teach a profession. The same thing is true in life. The problem is we take advice from everybody. We never take advice. In fact, I was talking to a guy this last week who was asking about money, right? And he's telling my financial planner is saying this, my financial planner says this, and this is contradictory. And here's what I say to say to this person, this Seth guy. Seth, hopefully you're watching this, Seth Pope. And I told Seth, I said, what is that person making? So what is that person? So where are they investing their money? Have them show you where they've invested their money, and have them show you that they are at a place in their life where you want to be, because you don't want to be the guinea pig on some brand new person. Now again, I take my hat off. He's starting a business, wants to be a financial planner. That's perfectly fine, but I'm not going to put my hard work money, I earn money, and put it with that person until I know exactly where he's at. I never take advice on health from somebody that's not where I want to be. I don't take advice from somebody on money that's not where I want to be. I don't take advice from somebody on the mindset unless they have their shit, they're incongruent with their life. So this is what I've learned, is how to model people. How to model people. So for example, if it's peak performance, I modeled Tony Robbins. I spent, last year 30 some days with Tony Robbins. I spent time with other people, Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, on mindset. When I want to learn finance, I learned from people who understood finance. I started digging into Robert Kiyosaki, for example, the cash flow quadrant, understanding that everything's a liability unless it's making you money. It's not an asset. Even your house is not an asset if it's not making you money. It's a liability. It's something you can reward yourself with, but your car is not an asset. It's a liability. And so there's certain things that I learned from people like that, or from, let's see here. Oh, Dave Ramsey. That's what I'm thinking of. Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey in the early days was someone who I plugged into because I made a lot of money, but I spent a lot of money. I wanted to learn how to control my finances. So I plugged into him. I wanted to learn about, for example, the universe and energy and spirituality. So I'm studying the work now of Master Co, for example. Or if I wanted to learn about sales, I've been plugging into people like the late Chet Holmes, for example. Unfortunately, he died of cancer, but he was one of my mentors, Chet Holmes. And Chet wrote The Ultimate Sales Machine, other books about selling. I wanted to learn more about sales, so right now, one of the guys that's done a phenomenal job of teaching sales, and one of the best salesmen I think out there right now, is Grant Cardone. So when I want to learn something, I find somebody who's already where I want to be, and I model them. Okay? So for me, and I'll just share this with those of you who are coming to my event. How many of you guys are coming to my event in Vegas, August 25th through the 30th? I will tell you what this event is about is this. So I'll give you a couple of examples of what this event is about and why it's important to model. And so I'm saying if you want to learn how to model what I've learned and me to shortcut this stuff, you can learn it going to the event. But you can model anyone. It doesn't have to be me. You can model anyone that is already at a place in their life where you want to be, and you find out what they do. How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you eat? How do you breathe? How do you connect? What technologies do you use to find out what they do? What they do. If it's money, you find the people that are Warren Buffett's of the world, and the people that are out there, you can read their books. They may not be a personal mentor to you one-on-one. I've been fortunate to be able to be in those worlds where I get a chance to interact with these types of people one-on-one. But if you're not at that point, you can read their books, listen to their books, to find out what they're doing that's different than you. Right? What they're doing that's different than you. So modeling is something that's so important. If you get this down in every area of your life, you want to learn how to be healthier. You want to learn how to look better. Who do you model? Who do you go to? Now, this is no mock on personal trainers because we all fight this thing, right? We all fight our nutrition and our bodies and our energy levels. I just knew for my energy level to be where it needs to be to accomplish what I want to accomplish, I have to control this. Which is why I eat 90% of the time, not for the taste, but for the nutritional value. I knew I had this with you guys this morning, so I had a shake that I had that had all my aminos in it, all my fats in it. I mean, every single thing that I needed for my body, my proteins, in that shake, which tasted like shit. But why did I do it? Because I know I have to be at peak performance at the energy level that I need to produce what I need to produce with you guys here. Okay, so who do you model? You model someone who's already looks like or is like you want to be. It amazes me when I go to the gym. This is honest to God truth. This is back, Kim and Rachel remember this. This is back literally, I'm going to say maybe 5-6 months ago. And there's a guy at the gym, and this guy at the gym was wondering why he wasn't selling, right? Why he wasn't selling properly, memberships, everything else. And I said, first, I'm going to be honest with you on one front, which is look at your belly. You got to do something about that, because if you're trying to present this image, who's going to go to you when you don't look like you follow your own shit? Second of all, you're talking to me every single day instead of manning the phones. How many people did you call today? What did you do today to call people, or what did you walk around here doing talking to people to become a client of yours? But so many people go take advice from someone who isn't following their own shit and who isn't where they want to be. So if you can simply get that down, because everybody wants to give you their opinion. Everybody wants to give you their opinion. Your family wants to give you their opinion. Your friends want to give you their opinion. Everyone does, but just do something for me. It'll change your life so much if you just don't listen or take advice from people who aren't where you want to be in whatever area they're talking about. Period. So, I'm talking about a couple things. One is, you guys remember, I'll give an example of what I do, right? Of what my events are about. So imagine taking what I've learned now over the past 2.5 decades, and I've condensed it down to 30 hours. I mean, it's going to be action-packed 30 hours of all of these pillars of success, right? And the goal I have is to shortcut this as fast as possible to get you from point A to point B as fast as I possibly can. And I'm not somebody, if you look at, if you're joining our group, for example, on 30-day challenge for the better energy in life, right? And having abundant energy and being able to accomplish what you want to accomplish, those that are plugged into that know what it's about, which is about me giving you just advice that I've learned over the years, and I come down to simplicity, right? So when I start with, how are you breathing? What water are you drinking? So are you nourishing your cells? What are you putting into your body? If you start with that, everything else kind of falls into place. All these little pieces start falling into place. But you got to start with the things that are simple. If you drink more water, you're eliminating more waste. It's healthier on your body, right? You're 60% water. If you work out, right, move your body more, so you have more motion to you, you're going to produce results. So I keep things as simple as I can. My job is to education hack as much as I possibly can to shortcut you from A to B as fast as possible. And we're going to, again, condense that down. So you guys remember, for example, back in whenever the Rubik's Cube first came out, right, the Rubik's Cube? I've got actually a niece who read this book. It's like 85 pages, this book. And all it does is it gives you the formula for you do this, if you turn this way, you see this, you turn it this way, you do this, you see. How many of you guys have done that? I know some of you guys that are my age or a little bit older know when the Rubik's Cube first came out, and then they figured out, hey, there's an actual formula to this to nail it. I mean, my 11-year-old, actually she's 10-year-old niece, my 10-year-old niece can do an entire Rubik's Cube no matter what I do to that thing in less than 5 minutes. Because she's memorized this, right? This process of getting that thing perfect. If it's me, I'm sitting there like forever. I've never gotten it. To be honest with you, my patience is not one of my strong suits. I'm sitting there turning it, trying to mathematically think about it in my head, like, well, if I turn this, it's going to mess this up, I can do this, and I just don't get it. So that to me is what life is like. Imagine your life being a Rubik's Cube in every single area. Let's take each one of these pillars differently. So if it's your health, it's all just a formula that you need to follow to have better health. If it's money, it's the same thing. Is you have someone teach you the strategy of that Rubik's Cube, and instead of taking you years and years and years to learn it, how to get that down to simplicity. For example, I want to learn more about finance. I knew that no matter what I did in business, even though I don't love it, I got to understand the bottom line. Nobody cares more about my money than I do, right? So I have to understand taxes, for example, because taxes are, for me, almost half of the money that I make goes in taxes. So I got to figure that piece out, right? I got to figure out my investments as an example. So I spend a good deal of my time doing that. But for example, I want to learn more about, like, for example, the financial side of it. And even though I took accounting in high school and everything else, I mean, it's light years ahead or back of what it takes to take a company. For example, I'm moving my company to an ESOP, employee owned. There's a lot of things you got to understand in communication with your CFO about it. So I found a gentleman who's been touted as basically being able to, within a couple of days, give you, according to Harvard, an MBA in finance. Right? That just shortcuts it and gives you the simplicity. I don't know why it works. He's like, hey, you got money here, and here's your cash flow, here's what you're doing, here's what it means. And then I got a product that I purchased from him on a monthly basis. It's called CFO Scoreboard. It tells me exactly where my company's at and what the red lines say. Here's what you need to look at. It's a potential challenge coming up. Here's where you can make your company look stronger. All of those things that give us, then I can sit down with my CFO and go through those things. So in every area of my life, I try to figure out how I can hack that and how I can shortcut it and find experts in every area. I'll give you an example. I know a lot of you guys follow Tony Robbins, my good buddy, and Tony Robbins' example back, I don't know how many years ago, it was probably around 22, 23 years ago. Tony Robbins wanted to learn Taekwondo, right? Wanted to learn Taekwondo. Now, he was already putting in an ungodly amount of hours. The only time he had was after an event like at 10, 11 o'clock at night until 2 or 3 in the morning. So he had Master Junri come with him every single place, the late Junri, come with him every single city he went to, and had him every single night after an event except for Sundays. He had him every single day train and work with him. He became a double black belt in 6 months. All right, he did the same thing with, so a buddy of his took him to play to watch a polo game, right, with horse and everything else, and watch a polo game. And somebody said, if you want to learn how to master a skill, this is a hard skill to learn, because not only are you trying to control this mallet you're hitting things with, you're riding a horse, not trying to fall off, all this other stuff. And this is back in the mid-90s. And the mid-90s, and Tony's like, you know what? So he found a couple of guys that were some of the best in the world, and said, how do you do this? How do you control the animal? How do you do this? How do you hit the ball? How much pressure to use? What's the psychology to all of this stuff? And the year after he started, he was Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year. Firewalk. How many of you guys have done the Firewalk with Tony Robbins and know that story, the Firewalk? So Tony Robbins decides, hey, so initially his events were pretty small. So he'd have, a couple hundred people. And so the experience was either you do a karate, chop a board, for example, and show that you can, accomplish that. And it's basically a metaphor that you can push yourself beyond what you think you're capable of doing. And if you can do that, you can do anything is the metaphor. And then he started jumping out of an airplane. So you take 200 people and have all these airplanes ready to go, and you jump out of an airplane, skydive, right? It's just a metaphor saying I can push through all these limiting beliefs that I have. Well, then you decide, it would be really cool if we could firewalk. Imagine being able to walk across 1,800 to 2,000 degree coal, 1,800 to 2,000 degree coal, and walk barefoot. And back in those days, it was about 30 to 40 feet of it, right? Now it's just basically 8 or 10 steps. It was a length of space. And so he goes over to India, finds the guy that's one of the best, according to everyone out there, as far as firewalking. And the guy tells him, hey, Tony, it's going to take you several months to learn this stuff, and then to get it down and make sure no one's getting hurt and all this stuff. It's going to take you a lot of time to really learn this skill. And Tony's like, how long? He's like, about 4 or 5 months. And Tony goes, well, let me, what do you say to yourself as you walk across? Guys, I do this. I anchor myself. I look here. I say cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, because I guess cool moss is better than hot moss when you're walking across fire. And you do these different things, right? You anchor yourself beforehand. You do this. And so Tony's like asking this guy, basically taking the guy and doing what I talk about modeling, right? And education hacking himself to find out what does he think about? Let me get all these different formulas of the Rubik's Cube and find out a way to get it as fast as I can. Instead of taking 6 months with this Rubik's Cube trying to figure this thing out, why don't I just shortcut it? How does he talk to himself? How does he think? How does he walk deliberately? How does he... And Tony said, okay, let me watch you do it. So they do the whole thing, get the thing ready to go. And this guy walks across 6 hours later, and Tony walks right across after him. In fact, Tony's group still holds the world's record for the longest firewalk ever. I was actually, I've done 13 of these now. In fact, I did with some of my own team last year. And then this year again, we're doing some more of this next year. So if you guys want to do that with me, we're going to do it in February or March again in California. But the whole thing is it's about modeling. Every area, you can do so many amazing things. If you look at the people that are out there that are doing amazing things, find out what they're doing. You do the same thing with your relationship with your kids or your spouse or whatever else. You can find people who are in a happy relationship or do have amazing with their kids, even though they're doing other things in business, but they find time for their kids and their kids seem to have a great relationship with them. Find out what they do. You can do the same with your faith. Modeling is the most powerful thing you can learn, and it's so simple. It just comes down to finding who has what you want, and if you don't have that person, that mentor, you hear me talk about mentors all the time. If you don't have that mentor in your life, start reading their books. Start listening to their audiobooks. Start plugging into that person and start learning from them. One of the goals that I had, because I felt like I didn't, basically I read I think one book in my whole high school years. I actually read the book. The rest of the time I had this gift where I could just kind of read through things really fast, study really fast, do a decent job on the test, and then forget it, right? I had a good memory, then I would just dump it out the next day, which wasn't the way you want to learn. And so the thing is, I would go in and I would just not read. And my goal when I was 19 years old, my mentor taught me, who was worth several $100 million, that leaders are readers. The more you read, the more you absorb. You can take people's whole lives and they write the best of the best of the best of their work into a book, and you can absorb all that stuff. I'm like, this is so cool. So he started giving me all the books that he had. By the way, if you guys don't have a copy of it, type in the chat window you'd like to get a copy of my top 30 list. Some of you guys have gotten it. Most of you guys haven't. My top 30 books that have impacted my life the most. We'll send a copy of that book to you guys. But I started reading. And my goal was to read at least a book a week. And I've kept that same pattern now for 2.5 decades. Almost every single week, I'm either reading a book or listening to a book to impact my life. You look at the most successful people out there. Do a Google search and look at how many books that Warren Buffett reads every single year. Look at how many books. The average person out there reads 3 to 4 books a year. These guys are reading, Warren Buffett, 2 or 3 books a week. If you don't know how to read very fast, take a speed reading course. Again, hack it. Figure out a way to shortcut that time frame. If you're in the car, don't use that time as as a wasted time, use no extra time towards doing something to move forward, listen to an audiobook. Okay? So, questions on this? I'm looking at the questions here. Amanda. So who do you personally go to learn about finance and taxes? Well, first of all, I'll share some of this stuff at a different time, because one of the things I'm going to do, so this next week we're doing Q&A, Amanda. Where you're asking me questions, and then the next 4 weeks, I'm tackling one of these pillars every single week, and I'm doing something called the 90-day burst. All right, so 90-day burst means when I want to do anything, any area of my life, because understand you have X number of hours in a day, right? So you have X number of hours to fit in your career and money, your family life, right, and your kids and everything else, your spouse. You have so much time to devote to your faith, so much time to devote to your health and your body and everything else. And so if you want to excel in any area, for a period of time at least, to get a boost, because success loves speed, success loves momentum, and success loves massive action, is you have to pull back other areas and pull some resources from there to excel in one area. And so in every area that I want to push myself forward full throttle, I do what's called a 90-day burst. 90-day burst means I pick one of these areas, and I just focus in that one area for 90 days. I first do what's called a pre-burst, which is, I'll teach you guys about this next in 2 weeks. The pre-burst, where I'm getting myself ready for it, right? So if it's my health, I want to eat right, I want to work out, I want to do all these other things. So I will meal prep, I will set up my exact schedule that I'm going to do, I will line up my workouts, I will do all these things ahead of time, so then for 90 days, I can excel in that area and get new habits created. And then I don't always keep that same level of performance, but I have this momentum carry me through, and I see massive results from it. And if I want to do the same thing with finance, when I started my company, for example, I had planned a 2-year burst, right? 2 years putting in 80, 90 hours a week to build this company the way that I wanted it to. So you can call it a 90-day burst. Most people can palate that. If I told you you're going to do 2 years, you'd probably say, oh shit, I can't do that. But a 90-day burst, anybody can do. You can push yourself way more. So I got a whole thing I'll tell you, Amanda. And so I'm going to talk about the finance and the tax and all that stuff in 2 weeks. That'll be my topic in 2 weeks, is money and finances and all those things and investments. And you guys can ask me questions as well. But what I want to have you do is look in your life at when you actually truly wanted something bad enough. If you laser focused on it, so the analogy I'll give you is, for example, let's say magnifying glass is an example. So magnifying glass, you're sitting there and you have this big of an area working on your health or your finances or your mindset or whatever else. What I want to be able to do is, for a period of time, take that lens and lift it up to create this laser focus on one spot and start that thing burning. That's what I want to be able to do. And I guarantee in some point in your life, you guys have all done that in one area or another. When you get massive focus like that, laser focus for a period of time. So here's the reality. You think you can't do this stuff. You think, well, I'm already putting in 40 hours a week. Yeah, the other 40, what are you doing with your time? I'm telling you, you have to find a way to do it if you want your life to be different. Okay? You have to find a way to do it if you want your life to be different. And most people underestimate what they can do. See, the reason that most people, they say, only use 10% of their brain, in my opinion, is because you're only pushing yourself 10% of what you're capable of doing. You can do so much more if you laser focus on something. So my quest has been laser focusing on the mindset and getting people and getting myself to take massive action. So if somebody wants something, I call it results, right? My job is to find results. I've got a PhD in results in people, take them from where they are now to where they want to be as fast as I possibly can. And so I focus on all these areas with mentors, just absorbing all this information. Now, even if you're not the smartest person, I don't consider myself any smarter than almost all of you, right? But what I've been able to do is, what I know is, and my idea when I was in my 20s, I didn't feel I was the smartest person. I was young. Imagine me talking to people about finances, and I'm 18, 19 years old out of high school, right? But what I knew is this. I knew that if I had enough stuff pumping into my brain, and I didn't have a great memory. I didn't feel like I did at that time. I hadn't had all these muscles in my brain to absorb things and use them and whatever else. But I knew if I put enough positive stuff in, some positive stuff would start oozing out. That was going to start being able to do things because I would keep putting my brain and actually choosing what I'm learning. So that's what I did, is I education hacked, and I modeled people, and I read books, and I did whatever I had to do in every area to improve myself. And once I got myself to a point, is now how do I teach this? How do I teach someone else this? How do I pay it forward? And that's what I've created my whole business about for the last 2.5 decades. So my event, for example, in Vegas, you guys think 30 hours is a long time. You guys think me talking in one day for 14 hours straight and exercise and pushing you? How many of you guys have been to my events? How many of you guys have been to any of my events and have spent through 1 to 3 14-hour days where I'm on stage for 14 hours with you, no breaks, except for going to the bathroom for you guys a few times. You have your food sitting there. And how many of you guys have seen massive impact in your life? You say in your mind right now, I can't sit through 14. There's no way. Because you're comparing it to a 5 or 6 hour seminar or somebody lecturing you versus full immersion, full hands-on, full participation, full growth for you, where instead of you focusing on the handful of things you're focusing on right now in life, because the average person's not, they can't handle all the stimulus coming to them of what they're focusing on, I'm going to take this magnifying glass and laser focus you in all of these pillars of success to shortcut you as fast as I can for 30 hours. All right, so leave you guys with this. Let's do some drawings here really quickly. I've got my box and everything else, so we're going to do a couple of drawings. So Bree, make sure you're keeping track of this stuff. So first, let's give away, I'm going to hand pick based upon knowing you, a book that I want you to get. Okay, so I'm going to hand pick a book that I want you to have. So we're going to give away 3 books right now. And what I want you to do is I want you simply to DM me if you want, direct message me, and tell me which area of your life that you want to improve. So whether it be your mindset, so keep your mind in the right place, whether it be your body, your health, whether it be your finances. Let's pick on those 3 first, right? The mindset, your finances, and your health. So pick of those 3, which one you want me to give you a book that will most impact you. So let's pick the first person. I just almost cheated there. Sorry, guys. All right, so we've got the first person for the first book, and that is Dennis Martin. So Dennis Martin, pick the area. I think I know which one I want to get you, Dennis, because I know you. So Dennis Martin's the first. I'll put your name back in the hat for the event in Vegas. I know you're already going. All right, the next one is Candy Steins. Candy Steins. Bree. And the third one is Joshua. I've got Gossman. Ghostman. I was going to say Grossman, but it's Ghostman. Joshua. No, Joshana. There we go. It's a girl. I'm trying to read your writing, Bree. Joshana Ghostman. Or Gooseman. That might be. Gooseman. I'm going to say Gooseman. Okay. So those are the 3. Actually, I'm going to pull that one out again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, the next 3 people real quick, I'm going to give you a 3-month subscription to Audible. So number 1, when you sign up, you get a free book. And then second of all, I'm going to give you a 3-month subscription so you can get at least 1 book every single month to plug into. Okay? So a 3-month subscription to Audible, which is worth, I think, like, I don't know, 30 or 60 bucks. Susan Schakowsky. Susan Schakowsky is the first one. Jared Pick is the second one. And Michael Christian is the third one. So you each will get a 3-month subscription to Audible. Okay? All right, so that's the event for today, the conversation with me today. Again, hopefully you guys shared this. Hope you got some value out of it. I will tell you, if you simply learn this, is modeling people who are already where you want to be, their life is congruent in that area, and you simply find a way to education hack it and find out how they walk, how they talk, how they breathe, how exactly they do what they do, and model that. And I'm telling you, I love when people come to me and say, how can I do this? How can I do that? And I'm telling you, most of them will like you asking them questions. You say, listen, I see you in your relationship with your kids, and I would love to learn. What do you do, and how do you do this? And or with money, how do you build? What did you start with? How did you invest your money? What did you do? But again, don't look at the facade. See, understand that everybody out there is crazy. It drives me crazy. Everyone thinks they're a coach now. Everyone thinks they're a speaker and a coach. But I look at what are they doing? What have they done? What do the successes say? What do the track records show? Because I'm not going to put my energy into anyone, give me advice, unless they followed that advice and already have what I want. Okay, so learn this skill of modeling. It will change your life. All right, think of your questions for me. I'll cover any question, any topic next Monday, and I'll find a way for you guys to get me those questions and feedback, and I'll give you feedback on it. And then the following week, we're going to tackle all of these areas individually. We're going to start with money, start with wealth, how you create wealth. All right, I'm going to give you the best of the best that I can give you in a half an hour. Understand we're going to spend several hours in Vegas on each of these topics and actually put a plan in action and actually have you do it. So I'm just going to tell you really quickly with Vegas, what's unique about that is we're not just going to talk about it in theory. We're going to get your mindset correct. We're going to spend a good chunk of time on your mindset because that's 80% of it. I promise you it is. And we're going to focus our time on that. And then we're going to talk about sales, marketing, management, and creating a massive action plan for you, whether it be increasing, moving your getting a raise at your job, whether it be starting your own side hustle, whether it be, we're going to give you all kinds of ideas and coach you. And the last day, we're going to work on execution, which is actually have you on phone calls, have you on emails, actually have you for 5 to 6 hours, actually putting it in action and coach you while you're doing it to show you how to change your life. So it's going to be something very unique. I got frustrated with several things in my past in personal development. So I hated going to events, for example, and everyone gets all pumped up and excited and have nowhere to go, don't even know what to do with it. So, or they don't focus, they focus so much that I go back to the late Mary Kay Ash. I read her book. Everybody knows who Mary Kay was, right? Or is. Her company. The late Mary Kay Ash said, inspiration and motivation without information provides frustration. So getting you all pumped up and excited isn't what it's about. That gets your energy level where it needs to be, but it's only going to sustain for a period of time. You got to find a way to put real content, real meat behind it. Okay, so it's not about that. Then we go to the content, which is what do you actually do, and bring in multiple millionaires, 11 millionaires right now that are coming to this to speak to you, to work with you and everything else. But the more importantly is this all sounds great in theory. Yeah, people on stage making money. But then we're going to take you on day 3 and actually have you do it while we're coaching you and developing you, and your teams are working together to help you build your vision for what you want to do in every area of your life. So I'm highly encourage you guys, if you want to be there, learn more, go to theprofessionalsnetwork.net. Again, theprofessionalsnetwork.net. Would love to have you guys spend 30 hours with you and really take this stuff to the next level. Because I'll tell you point blank is that me playing with you guys here on these calls for half an hour to 45 minutes a day, it'll take you a year and a half to get what I'm going to give you guys in 2.5 days or 3 days in Vegas. But additionally, it's full immersion and you start compounding. So in reality, we're going to condense, my last 2.5 decades into 30 hours, and we're going to shortcut the education for you and get you to take action, but also see results. In fact, the last time we had 50-some people that did this, we generated like $1.3 million in commission off of one 5-hour period, the worst time of the day, Friday afternoon, and the worst day of the week, which is Friday, making phone calls to potential clients, all B2B, very challenging, and we're going to show you how to do that same thing with your business and what you do. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you guys next week. Goodbye, Instagram. Goodbye, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.